In accordance with Rule 49E(9) of the Rules of Procedure, I will not put any question on the motion.
Debate on motions with no legislative effect. Combating insurance fraud. Members who wish to speak in the motion debate will please press the request to speak button. I now call upon Mr. Chan Kin-por to speak and move the motion. Mr. Chan Kin-por. Thank you, President. I move that the motion as printed on the agenda be passed. Insurance fraud has become out of control. It involves compensation, employees' compensation, and motor vehicle insurance. It has become a syndicate run. It involves notary, doctors, lawyers, a very huge network. Insurance companies are forced to increase premium because they've been suffering losses. And as a result, owners, employers, vehicle owners, taxi drivers have to bear the cost. Let me give you an example. A motorcyclist was met with a traffic accident, and he was on sick leave. And when he was on sick leave, he continued to use his motorbike, and there was another accident, and he went to another public hospital. And as a result, he was granted 2 separate sick leaves by 2 public hospitals, and he's paid by 2 insurance companies. The sector knew about this and reflected the case to the administration. However, the administration said that it's because of privacy, we're not going to look into it. And sometimes insurance companies will send out detectives to investigate. There is a case when a worker who claimed to suffer from industrial accident appeared with a brace and crutches. When he saw the doctor afterwards, he put everything away. A video clip was sent. However, the hospital authority said this involves the privacy of the patient, so they will not look into it. The HA neglected, turned a blind eye to the problem and their mistakes, and this is ridiculous. There's another case. It's a newly joined bus driver. A few days after he started work, he slipped and hurt his back. And he was granted 2 years of sick leave by a private doctor and public hospital. However, he was assessed to suffer only 5% of incapacity. He made a claim for $6.5 million, including a loss of future income, $3 million, and loss of amenities, $500,000, and overtime pay $630,000. And I think that he's asking for too much. The case was heard in August last year. The court said that the injury was not too serious, and the person malingered and lied. So he was given only $350,000 in compensation. However, he's already received $590,000, and he does not have to spit that out. Of the numerous fraud cases, a lot of them are difficult to detect. It's difficult for the court to decide, and before you get a result, so you have to pay lawyers. Recently, there is an insurer who dealt with industrial accident case. This 30-year-old has claimed 8 times because of industrial accidents, and he's been granted sick leave 8 times. Perhaps he's been on sick leave longer than the times he's worked. I think he's become a claim expert, and he's received a large amount in claim. There is another claim, a claim for $320,000, and there's a counter offer of $270,000. Once legal aid was granted, that person immediately asked for $3 million. In the end, he got hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the insurance will have to pay legal costs. That's in the tune of hundreds of thousands. I've pointed out a number of times that there are loopholes in the law, and in a way it has added, it has fueled remedy and maintenance. With legal aid, the client can choose lawyers, and with remedy and maintenance, they would they would persuade the person to make a claim, so that in the process they will receive a lot in lawyers' fees. But with legal cost and the claim, sometimes and legal cost and cost pay in the process, there's only 1/3 that is received by the person suffering the injury. In 2004 to 2013, there are a total of $2.8 billion by the industry in relation to employees' compensation. So 280 million a year. In 2009, the premium was 4 billion, and in 2013, it's increased to $6.7 billion, 47% increase. However, insurers have been suffering losses, so they have to increase premium. Those who take out insurance become losses. Those who engage in insurance fraud gain. A couple of years ago, certain sectors encountered difficulties in taking out policies, say, for example, catering, scaffolding, construction, etc. And very often, insurers will have to be extra careful when dealing with these sectors. And they encounter difficulties when making huge claims. For transport sector, insurers have suffered loss for over $12 million. Premium has increased from 2009 $20,000 to $40,000 this year. So everyone loses out. Last year, the legislative set up a joint committee on issues related to insurance coverage for the transport sector to look into measures in excessive issuance of sick leave note and exaggeration of injuries, etc. The hospital authority has turned a blind eye. However, the police is quite positive in its response. It's tasked the CCB to look into it. Not long ago, a case was cracked. It involves garage, insurance agent, and it's suspected that over 10 insurers have been deceived. And I really commend the police work, and I hope that the scope of investigation will be expanded to, say, employees' compensation insurance, because this will affect workers, and it involves the biggest amount in claim. The amount is astronomical. They should not turn a blind eye. Otherwise, the number of cases will continue to increase. Insurers will become ATMs for these culprits. If you do not tackle the roots of the problem, no matter how hard the police work, it will be to no avail. So I suggest that there should be an inter-departmental task force to pull the efforts of the privacy commissioner, social work development, social work department, police, etc., so that these frauds can be tackled. There is an important role played by the hospital authority, because those people involved, they will first get sick leave. In this joint subcommittee, there has been a detailed discussion about issuance of sick leave by HA doctors. They've explained our difficulties, but it's very easy for doctors to issue weeks or months of sick leave note, and it can last for 2 to 3 years. That is indeed problematic. They should take reference from overseas experience that if the leave is over several months, there should be a review mechanism. If doctors find it easy to grant sick leave, sometimes those who are suffering from genuine injury will not get proper treatment. The police should enhance their effort to combat such frauds, say, for example, using agent provocateur, and to target a syndicate-run network. Well, we have a positive data bank in the financial sector. However, when it comes to insurance sector, there is no such data bank. These people, they can cheat the insurers one by one. There is nothing we can do. We hope that the administration will set up a central claims data bank. This will be a deterrent. And it sometimes involves a notary, these cases, but notaries are not regulated. It's really problematic, so the administration should regulate notaries as well. Under the SWD, there is a traffic accident assistance scheme to help victims. The intentions are good because if you made a report and you have seen a doctor, then you can make a claim, and they can get government insurance as well. So the SWD should review their vetting mechanism to make sure that it will not be abused. Under the employees' compensation mechanism, there are loopholes, and as a result, the fees have been increasing. The LWB should tackle it. If these frauds can be combated, then the crime rate will decrease and premium will drop, and everyone benefits. Thank you.
I now propose the question to you, and that is that the motion moved by Mr. Chan Kin-por be passed. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan will move an amendment to this motion. This council will now proceed to a joint debate on the motion and the amendment. I now call upon Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan to speak and move an amendment to the motion. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan. Mr. President, move that Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion be amended. My amendment is about the addition of the idea of setting up a central employees compensation fund to the motion. Of course, Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion is about insurance fraud, so let me respond to that first. Of course, I don't rule out the problems mentioned by Mr. Chan Kin-por just now, but the way he speaks on behalf of the insurance sector may give an impression that those making claims are perceived to be fraudsters. Well, if this is how the relationship goes, for example, that you may need to engage a private detective to follow each and every victim. We received some complaints about some genuine victims suffering from injury at work, and they got followed by a private detective. Of course, I cannot rule out the possibility of cases mentioned by Mr. Chan Kin-por, and in the end, when the case eventually reached the court, it was a lose-lose situation, or in fact, the victim making the claim lost, and he had to pay the lawyers as well. And for the insurance company, there were also expenses, but that is the system. There we have we have the court, we have lawyers, and those injured really need the help of lawyers. If we describe it in such a manner that everybody making a claim are fraudsters, then of course from the labor sector, from trade unions, definitely we're going to oppose such claims. As for allegations on, for example, the legal aid department as being a boosting factor for championship and maintenance, well, again, there are genuine victims seeking help from the legal aid department, and if we question the feasibility of legal aid because of these problematic cases, this is not helpful at all, because the whole system helps employees as well as other litigants, as legal aid covers a wide scope. So I hope that a more positive picture can be painted. Another point is about HA doctors. He seems to be suggesting that HA doctors are too lenient, but you cannot challenge his professional judgment. You're not a professional doctor yourself, so it's not for you to comment that the doctor is being too lenient. It's difficult even for another doctor to challenge his diagnosis, since that doctor has not seen that patient. So if you say that the doctor is being too lenient, you're just speaking from your own perspective to safeguard your own interests. You're not being objective. So what you've said seems to be suggesting that they work in a syndicated fashion with doctors participating in a syndicate as part of the fraud scheme. I don't think it's fair to doctors. Of course, you also challenge the hospital authority for turning a blind eye to the problems. But it's not the HA's duty to deal with the problems with insurers. Their duty is to treat patients. So let's not confuse responsibilities for each party. Well, coming back to the point, I'm against insurance frauds as well. It's impossible for me to support anyone to defraud insurers. This is not lawful. This is not appropriate. Of course, we reprimand insurance frauds as well. However, you should not take a blanket approach and send private detectives to follow each and every victim. And you must not exert pressure on victims who are suspected of committing insurance frauds, because this amounts to nuisance or harassment. And this will heavily impact upon injured employees. In fact, we can take a more positive approach. We have been discussing with the insurance sector on a rehabilitation program. That is, the correct approach should be to help the employee recover and resume work as soon as possible. And we did inquire with the HA whether there could be an occupational rehabilitation department that is dedicated to helping employees to recover and resume work as soon as possible. Now the insurance sector said that it should be done on a voluntary basis. Well, sometimes injured employees may feel differently, and this is again another example of speaking from your own perspective and belittling your counterpart. Well, some injured workers may feel that the doctors seeing the worker on the instruction of the insurer is basically protecting the insurer's interests. And the worker may not trust that doctor. So this plan is not feasible either. So we should find a neutral party that is the hospital authority, because the HA also has a scheme for its employees' rehabilitation plan. So we're asking whether whether the HA can expand the plan to cover all employees, and the insurers can foot the bill. Because when I was discussing with the insurers, they were also minded to implement some kind of rehabilitation plans in order to minimize the claims, and also to allow employees to resume work as soon as possible. We're happy to do that. We're happy to explore with Mr. Chan Kin-por the feasibility of these suggestions. Now, on another point, he said that more concern should be expressed on the insurance fraud, because from 2003 to 2013, the insurance sector lost $2.8 billion. In 2008, it was $4 billion. So altogether, $6 billion, a rise of 67%. And that's exactly our concern. According to the lots of complaints, the workers are unable to get insurance cover. Although it's said that there is a mechanism for with an alliance of insurers, and you can get insurance there, but the point is you cannot take out a policy at a reasonable level of premium. So even with this mechanism, it cannot resolve the problem of soaring premiums, and this is also the complaint from construction industry, transport sector, or insurers. In 5 years' time, it had increased by 67% on average. And this is just the average figure. For some industries, there may be more claims, and it could be a 200% or 300% increase in 5 years, as far as insurance premium is concerned. So we need to find a solution, and the solution is, as I have suggested, whether we can set up a central employees compensation fund, so that the insurance sector doesn't need to do anything. There is no need for them to incur a loss of $2.8 billion because the government will be setting up a central employees compensation fund, and it will be overseen by the government so that insurance premium will not continue to soar, and the insurance premium can be pegged to a level of safety, and everybody will have a responsibility of driving down insurance premium, and in the course we can save administration fees and handling fees. And this is the whole idea of a central employees compensation fund. I'd like to seek your sector support as well, because since you said that you're in such a plight, you've lost $2.8 billion. So please let the government set up this central employees compensation fund. It's supported by the labor sector, by your sector as well. I hope this fund can be set up as soon as possible. Thank you.
I now propose the question to you, and that is that the amendment moved by Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan to Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion be passed. Secretary for Financial Services in the Treasury. President, I'm grateful to Mr. Chan Kin-por for moving this motion regarding insurance fraud, and also Mr. Lee's amendment. I'd like to make a general response first. As regards to Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan's amendment in connection with the central fund, I will make a response later. Any fraudulent acts are criminal. Normally, for insurance fraud, the insurance policyholder overstate the damage and the problems. And sometimes they may create artificial accidents to file a fake claim, and there can be other activities. According to the insurance authority, many of the acts involve worker compensation and vehicle compensation. There may be cases involving tourist and medical insurance. Now, for vehicle insurance, they may be overstating the injuries in order to get a longer sick leave, or they may try to create a traffic accident, and they may be overstating the damage to the cars. Now, for workers' damage, and they may be faking injuries. They may be overstating the extent of injuries in order to get a longer sick leave. These kind of acts will incur unnecessary loss on the part of the insurers, and this would jack up the insurance bill. The businesses and the consumers will stand to lose. The government doesn't condone this kind of fraudulent acts. The police would take appropriate action to follow up on these cases. As regards workers' compensation, the government will set up a cross-departmental working group to review the employees' compensation system, and also the situation regarding the taking out of insurance. We also rely on the trade to do the gatekeeping, and they can step up the monitoring of the intermediaries and identify the problems as early as possible. The insurance sector also maintains a liaison with the police and reports suspicious cases. The trade, through the employees' insurance residual scheme, offers a backup for those who cannot take out an insurance. Mr. President, we are only delighted to listen to what members have to say in order to improve the mode of operation and the monitoring system. Later on, I will be making a response in detail after listening to members. Thank you.
Mr. Siu-ping. Mr. President, this is a motion on combating insurance frauds. I will speak from the perspective of the labor sector. and talk about the various insurance frauds related to employees' compensation. And these cases, some of them are not to get claims, but they are cases when no claims are made, when no reports are made to the company by companies, because they want to save on insurance premium. And this is also dishonest. Existing legislation requires employers to take out employees' compensation policies to ensure that employees will be protected. By taking out a policy, employers will share the risk. However, obviously, by taking out policies, the problem is not resolved. In 2013, the Labor Department issued over 900 summons related to employees' compensation ordinance. In relation to cases that employers did not take out employees' compensation policies, it has increased by over 10% every year. There are various reasons when employers don't take out policies. One of them is the increasing premium. According to the annual report of the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance, OCI, in 2011, when it comes to employees' compensation, the fees increased by 8%. In 2014, 36.4%. That is 2012. Insurance premium increased significantly. It doesn't mean that insurers have made a lot of profit. According to the same annual report in 2011, when it comes to the rate of return, in employees' compensation, there's a decrease by 8%, 2012, 16.3%. There is a strange phenomenon. Premium increases. As a result, some employers take the risk to not take out employees' insurance. Because of increasing risks and a decreasing rate of return, insurers are quite reluctant to underwrite for employees' compensation. For those who have taken out employees' compensation insurance, they are at a very difficult place. The administration should share some of the responsibility, because when it comes to employees' compensation, the premium is correspond to the risk. In recent years, there has been a lot more fatal injuries. That is one of the reasons why premium stands high. For the construction industry, is one of the highest. Youngsters don't want to join the industry. The operating costs continue to increase. We've been asking the administration to implement policies to ensure occupational safety. However, the administration refused to do anything, and they even suggest importing foreign labor. With increasing premium, employers take the risk to not take out policies, and they also hide industrial accidents and injuries, and they've also forced employees to engage in focused self-employment. So everyone loses. The residual scheme is to help employers who cannot take out insurance in the market. This is a backup, but it does not address the situation when everyone loses. The application procedure is complicated. Employers will have to prove that three insurers rejected his application. I've received complaints that insurers delayed the process. As a result, the employer was unable to take out insurance. We've always asked to set up a central employees' compensation fund. This is something that has consensus. It's quite rare for employers and employees to see eye to eye, and I hope that there is such a system in place. Thank you.
多謝主席。
Mr. Tony Jie. Mr. President, according to the Secretary for LWB on the 7th of January this year, in reply to a written question in 2012 to 2014 October, the police have received a number of cases related to insurance fraud. The case increases. In 2012, it was 34, and in 2014, for the first 10 months, 49 cases. And as reported, for the first 4 months in 2014, there are 17 insurance fraud cases. Compared to the same period in 2013, it has increased by 1.5 times. The modus operandi involves collusion between client and insurance broker, or the insurance broker use the claim payment to invest without the client knowing. And I note that when it comes to insurance frauds, we hear about it from time to time. Some of them are run by syndicates. And some involves the lawyers, doctors, notary public. So in order to effectively combat insurance fraud, we need a multi-pronged approach. Well, in the process of making a claim, there are loopholes. There is room for improvement. Legal aid department, the HA hospital authority, notary public, social welfare department, and also claims agent. The HALSP in March last year had a discussion about maintenance and shepherding, and we discussed about claims agent. There has been large-scale publicity campaign by the administration asking the public not to believe these claims experts. The legal sector and the insurance sector all agree that claims agent should be phased out. They've brought problems to insurers and the public. The administration has made it clear that claims agents should not be allowed to operate, but they have not announced any plans to do so. We doubt their determination. There are a number of claims related to transportation, and in recent years, the police have cracked a number of cases involving traffic accidents. They fake their own accidents, and then they got an insurance. They got a sick leave note, and then they got a claim as high as $100,000. It involves PLB drivers, taxi drivers, Western doctors, Chinese medicine practitioners. And this shows a number of problems. That is, doctors issuing sick leave note carelessly, and also some loopholes with the SWD. Since May 1979, when the Traffic Accident Victims Assistance Scheme was put in place to help victims or their families in traffic accidents, they can claim under the scheme. The SWD will take into account the sick leave note issued by doctors in deciding the amount. But the insurance sector think that the SWD is not careful enough in vetting sick leave notes. And the vetting of the scheme should be more carefully done. And if drivers do not take the initiative to declare past claims, it's difficult for insurers to find out whether past claims have been made. And if the driver was involved in insurance fraud, it's difficult for the insurer to find out. There's room for improvement. The administration should do something. When it comes to insurance fraud, it jacked up insurance premium. And as a result, for a lot of sectors, their operating costs increase. This adversely affects their room for survival and their practitioners. Something should be done to combat them. I speak in support of Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion. Thank you.
Mr. Ma Fung-kwok. Mr. President, Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion points out the insurance fraud cases committed by the community, causing the insurance premium to continue to rise, thereby increasing operating costs of trades and industries, and in turn, the cost will be shifted to consumers. The government should actively follow up on these cases. According to the Labor Department's statistics, industrial accidents and fatalities have continued to decline. In 2004, there were 18.1 fatalities per 1,000, and the figure has dropped to 13.2 by 2013. The number of the cases have also dropped from 44,000 in 2004 to 38,000 in 2013. Of course, we would like to see that the figure be as low as possible. But in fact, the trend is that employees are facing less risk in terms of injury on duty. And on the contrary, the number of claims have increased in recent years. From 2004 to 2013, the underwriting losses have increased to $2.9 billion, and there is a double-digit increase per year. Same as the insurance for transport sector. For example, for taxi, the premium remains the same, but for third-party insurance, it has increased from $10,000 to $20,000. And for charity and maintenance, people engaged in these practices solicited business in public hospitals, and in August, the police cracked down a syndicate involved in charity for victims of traffic accidents. The claim amount actually was boosted from 20,000 to 140,000, and the fee also increased. But however, in the face of rampant and syndicated activities, the government still is very helpless. Although very often the claim agents would solicit business from employees at public places and in government departments. However, there were only 15 cases of harassment by these individuals. It shows that the government has been very tolerant, if not turning a blind eye to these problems. And the government is also disappointing in investigating and prosecuting these cases. In an oral question asked last October, according to the FSTB, there were only 4 successful prosecutions on insurance frauds. it shows that the number of prosecutions can not play any deterrent effect. That it is a mandatory requirement for drivers or vehicle owners to take out insurance, and the government therefore should play its part as the regulator. It should not regard soaring premium as pure commercial behavior. It should, apart from stepping up prosecution and effort, other departments should also join hands and follow up on issues to tackle the problem at source. Now, the motion proposes the setting up of an interdepartmental task force, and I strongly support it in order to tackle the problem at source. Last term, there was a joint committee set up jointly by 2 panels and on issues relating to insurance coverage for the transport sector. And in 2012, there were issues looked at, for example, on the independent assessment service, and also a review mechanism to be set up by HA, and a central complaint mechanism, and also to follow the UK government model to issue fitness notes instead of sick leave certificates, and also a number of other recommendations. Some recommendations may have to do with privacy issues. Still, it's been 2 years and the government is still considering these recommendations. I hope the government would actively respond to these recommendations. Today's motion it mentions the soaring insurance premiums and high premium amount. Now, for stunts, celebrities, or action as actors in the film industry, very often they are rejected from when they want to take out insurance policies. Of course, this is a bit off the track, and still I hope that the government and Mr. Chan Kin-por and the insurance sector would pay attention to this problem to give the sufficient safeguard to those requiring insurance policies. Mr. Lee, Mr. President, in recent years, insurance frauds have become increasingly rampant and syndicated, and the figures quoted in relation to insurance claims and insurance frauds have seen a market increase. And Mr. Chan Kin-por is urging the government to combat insurance frauds, and the government should attach importance to step up enforcement and investigation to combat syndicated insurance frauds. Mr. President, I have been in touch with people from different sectors, and I have heard views expressed by them on insurance frauds, and I'd like to reflect their views here. For certain sectors, such as the recycling industry, where there is high risk, employers often complain of being unable to take out labor insurance. And I also received similar complaints from the labor sector that the number of accidents have been on the rise, and the insurance premium is also on the rise. Sometimes insurance frauds may be a conspiracy among the garage operator, claim agent, and the worker. For other industries such as the construction industry, security, cleaning, etc., as the employees are prone to physical fatigue and other conditions, when sick leave certificates are issued by medical doctors, they will be given sick leave, paid sick leave. However, sometimes the period of sick leave may last for weeks or months or even a year. Of course, sick leave certificates are issued upon doctors' professional judgment. Sometimes it may be for determining injuries, and sometimes doctors may perform tests such as MRI on workers, and if the physical examination is all right, then the doctor may refer the patient to see some counseling or see a psychologist for recovery from the injury on duty. And from time to time, we see newspapers reporting cases of prolonged sick leave and by employees. In fact, during the occupation movement incident, a leader in one of the political parties also appeared in the occupation movement spots whilst on sick leave, and that attracted the community's attention. The government must face up to the issue of rising insurance frauds. As for insurance frauds for the transport sector, claims on traffic accidents are often exaggerated, as I learned from the insurance sector, and their modus operandi are getting more and more complicated. For example, last year in August, the government neutralized a syndicate which had been in operation for 6 years, and garages and notaries were involved, and at least 4 of them were involved. Insurance frauds, same as other fraud cases, could not be tackled by just one single solution, and there is no requirement for notaries to issue reports by a registered person. And I think the government should carefully study this recommendation and implement this recommendation. Frankly, we should be more concerned about insurance frauds. And insurance fraud cases have used to be committed by individuals, but now is more and more syndicated. And the DAB urges the government to work with various parties to combat these crimes committed by the culprits, and the government should also plug legal loopholes if necessary. Of course, from time to time we hear about insurance fraud cases, but as the insured, sometimes we feel being cheated by the insurer, because even if we have taken out an insurance policy, it doesn't mean that we get the necessary protection. I also hear about some unhappy, unpleasant experience. And after taking out a policy, the insured may not be able to get compensation. The most prevalent complaint comes from medical insurance policies. The terms and conditions and the illnesses and conditions covered may differ from insurer to insurer, and they may not be easy for consumers to understand the terms and conditions. And frankly, the insurance companies have the resources. Definitely, they have more professional knowledge than consumers. The insured take out insurance policies which are prepared by actuaries, and yet they don't get the compensation they expect, and then they complained about the insurance company, and the relationship turns sour. The insurance sector is an important economic pillar. It is hoped that the insurance or the IIA can set up will be able to take up this role to combat insurance fraud, as well as supervising the insurance sector to protect consumers. I support Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion.
Mr. Siu-ping. Thank you. When it comes to employees' compensation and motor vehicle third-party insurance frauds, the situation is deteriorating, and as a result, insurers have been suffering losses and premium increases. And this has significantly impacted on the insurance sectors and other various sectors, say for example, cleaning and catering industry. There are some changes in these frauds. These are the features. More of them are run by syndicates. There is a clear division of labor, a professional MO. Perpetrators are very familiar with the claim procedure. In the middle of last year, the police cracked a case involving syndicate-run insurance fraud. Notary public is involved, and over 10 insurers have been defrauded. And their MO is quite hidden, and there is also people who engage in maintenance and champagny. Some people will promote claims to these victims, and they say there will be no fees charged if it's not successful, and after they've got the claim, they will take a percentage as their fees. Insurers suffer. The victims receive less in their compensation. There is actually great incentive. As a result, some people will take the risk. In 2012, there are only 34 cases. 2013, 46 cases. 2014, first 10 months, 49 cases. The number of cases remained low, so it did not draw a lot of attention. But the claims amount involved range from tens of thousands or tens of millions of dollars. It's very difficult to prove to the contrary. With great financial incentive, and these people, they only need small capital, and it's quite profitable. And there is also recovery agent. The recovery agent will get people who know very little about the law, perhaps through exaggeration of injury, cheat insurers of claim payment. It's difficult to crack these cases because a lot of people know very little about the law. They think insurers are rich and they're happy to pay, and there's also the recovery agent egging them on. There is little publicity. That's why the public do not realize that it's a serious offense. There are also loopholes in our legislation. This will only fuel maintenance and champagny. Legally aided persons will choose their own lawyers. So people who engage in maintenance and champagny will persuade people suffering, in traffic accidents or industrial accidents to choose their own lawyers. With abundant resources from legal aid, maintenance and champagny have become rampant. Given the causes and features of insurance fraud, if the problem is not tackled at its root, even with the Central Employees Compensation Fund, insurers will not turn the loss into a profit. It also involves public money. The administration will be quite conservative in its management of the fund. The process efficiency will be poor compared to the free market. So Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan's proposal is not feasible. I have the following suggestions to make. First, the administration should realize the damage done to society by these frauds, and they should stop the prevalence of these crimes. Starting from 1990s in the U.S., there has been a series of stringent measures to prevent this crime. There is legislation and the government promote the combating of these cases. And there's also cooperation between different sectors. There is a very sound system in place to combat insurance frauds. We should learn from the U.S. Experience and set up an inter-departmental task force. Whenever these cases are identified, measures to be put in place, and the punishment should be high to deter to enhance deterrence. There should be enhanced publicity and education campaign. Some typical cases can be used in the publicity campaign so that the public will know that they will have to shoulder the consequence if they engage in such frauds. And those who report these cases will be rewarded in some way. The public should be encouraged to report these frauds. With the stakeholders monitoring the situation, these measures will be effective. It will combat insurance fraud. I hope that the administration will not be lax with this approach because of the small number of cases. It's on the increase. I hope the administration will put in place measures to safeguard our position as international financial sector. I speak in support of Mr. Chan's motion. Mr. Frankie Yik. First, I thank Mr. Chan for moving the original motion. According to existing labor legislation, all employers will have to take out employees' compensation policies. For the transportation sector, circulating vehicles will have to be covered by third-party insurance. The intention of taking out policy is that monetary protection can be given to victims involved in accidents. However, it seems that the purpose has changed. It's been used by perpetrators to make money. For the insurance sector and the transportation sector, this has been a problem for quite some years. However, there is nothing they can do. For the transportation sector, it's difficult for them to take insurance and premiums are high. There are about dozens of insurance in the transportation sector. However, there are only 3 or 4 that are actively operating. There is no competition. There is little choice. So even when premium has been increased, say for example, taxis third party in 2009, 9,000 is now $23,000. In order to offset the loss and huge operating cost, the sector will have to just take it. Well, there is a joint subcommittee on issues relating to insurance coverage for the transportation sector. It's between the transport panel and the financial affairs panel. Well, there is a reason for setting up this subcommittee. It's because there are lots of claims and made because some people who are in traffic accidents fake their injuries. However, in the end, only the police set up a team in the CCB to investigate into these cases. All the other measures are ignored. Last year, there are about 17 insurance frauds involving about $1.2 million. In 2013, same period, it has increased by 142%. You see, the situation has got worse. What's more is that these perpetrators have evolved into syndicates. In August last year, the police cracked a syndicate of maintenance and charity. Notaries, public and recovery agent colluded together to get claims. They offer through trains one-stop service for those involved in traffic accident. They also exaggerate in the value of property loss and injury to get a bigger amount. recovery agent also engage in maintenance and jeopardy. We know that over 10 insurers have been involved, involving over 100 cases. If these frauds are not stopped, it will only fuel the situation when people exaggerate their injury. Notaries are supposed to give an independent opinion when it comes to the value of properties or claim. However, some people who claim themselves to be notaries engage in these dubious activities. As a result, the administration should step up the monitoring and regulation of notaries. If dubious activities will attract the criminal liability, I'm sure they will think twice before they do it. And when it comes to maintenance and jeopardy, when they claim to charge no fees when the case is not successful, I think that when it comes to legally aided cases, only the first 20 people in the solicitors list or bar list of the legal aid get cases. For the first or second one, they get over 100 cases. So they should review the situation to make sure that the number of cases are evenly distributed. In March last year, when it comes to reforming the legal aid system, I asked a question, and the Secretary for HAB said that the legal aid department is now working with the ICAC to review the system of appointment of lawyers to combat maintenance and jeopardy, whether it is transportation or insurance. They're mostly about fake sick leave and fake industrial accident. However, employers and insurers have no power to ask these people to go to a specified doctors. They also make use of the loopholes of public hospitals to get sick leave note, and they exaggerate their injury to get more in claim. And the recommendations of this joint subcommittee should be implemented. There should be an independent assessment service by the HA so that the injury can be assessed to combat excessive issuance of sick leave note and exaggeration of injury, so that insurers don't have to pay out excessively and premium can be reduced. I speak in support of the motion.
Mr. Tam Yiu-chung. President, the motion is about combating insurance frauds in order that the premiums will not be escalating because of the insurance frauds. The DAB is in support of this. My colleague, Mr. Lee, already has given us the analysis. As regards workers' insurance, how can we safeguard the protection for the workers? I think we can consider setting up a central compensation fund for the employees. Back in 1992, I was a member on behalf of the FTU and DAB. I did raise this point many times, and I specifically made a recommendation regarding the mode of operation. Now, the idea is for a board which is non-profit making to undertake the underwrite insurance and offer compensation for the claims. And this Central Compensation Board will be responsible for levying, and this is also coordinating the OSHC, the Occupational Deafness Compensation Board. At the moment, it is the government that is legislating the regulation. The risks are are diversified, the payment of the compensation would be undertaken by individual insurers. Employees' compensation as a statutory compensation would normally be regarded as an unprofitable kind of business. And the insurance would be taking on the employees' compensation as a sideline. The government has been adopting a conservative attitude towards this idea of a central compensation fund. And we can certainly promote better improvement. Now let's take some statistics. For instance, the premium paid by the employers, which are paid for the workers, is really minimal. In 2012-2013, the premium is $5.3 billion, minus the levy is still the amount still stood at $5 billion, but the amount of compensation offered to the deceased workers stood at $2.4 billion, and most of the money would be spent on reinsurance, on the commission, and the administrative costs, and this takes up about 60% of the premium. Now, when we proposed the Central Compensation Fund, after 20 years, reinsurance, administrative costs, and commission, and so on, have not been reduced. In 1996, it was $2.3 billion for the premium, and the compensation stood at $7.6 billion, or $700 billion. We haven't seen any consistent improvement over the years. In the private sector market, the operating costs for employees' compensation is very high. The payout is normally suppressed. For the employers who pay the premium, it is not fair at all. The staggering amount of premium paid doesn't promote occupational safety, and this is also a wasteful use of the resources in the community. In the UK, Canada, and New Zealand, they also have in place the Central Employees Compensation Fund. In the light of the experience, we can see that this mechanism is able to resolve all the problems that I referred to, and this will contribute to a lowering of administrative costs. The admin cost can be reduced to 10% of the total premium. The money saved can be plowed back to the compensation payout, and this wouldn't create a heavier burden to the employees or the employer. This will increase the protection for the workers. This mechanism would make it easier for the government to monitor the insurance policies to make sure that there will not be any evasion. And this will also remove the possibility of fake self-employment. Now, this mechanism has the other advantage that the employees' compensation insurance can be packed with occupational safety. Through the monitoring of the safety record, the premium can be devised accordingly. This will enable the employers to pay more attention to occupational safety and health. I urge the administration to reconsider this proposal that we put forward in 1992, and that is the Central Employees Compensation Fund, and that will enable the workers to set their mind at ease. Mr. Liang Yiu-chung. President, the topic for debate is the combating insurance frauds, and this has become a syndicated activity, And Mr. Chen is urging the administration to set up an inter-departmental task force to combat insurance frauds and plug the loopholes in the existing system. President, there are no problems with this logic because the insurance scams are so rampant that shows how bad the system is. I think it makes sense to set up an inter-departmental task force. But would this alone be enough to combat the problem? Would that be enough to combat the insurance scams? I do have doubts in my mind. Why? Because the insurance frauds are criminal. If there is an element of corruption, it would be the ICAC that would be enforcing the law. Otherwise, it would be the prerogative of the police. Now, it is working fine at the present moment. There are some examples cited. There are some syndicates that are offering a whole string of services for the users, and the police did manage to bust these kind of crimes. So the police can do something about the situation. But the fact remains that would the police be able to take comprehensive action? If they manage to do so, they would be able to combat the problem. But if the police are not really taking sufficient vigorous effort, then they can't combat the problem. Many a time, when the victims report these to the police, they would say that these are commercial behaviors, and they would stop their action there and then. And in these scams, this would involve the membership, club membership, and children's school and so on. When the victims take the cases to the police, they would turn around and say that these are commercial activities and these do not fall within their purview. I think this, in a way, is encouraging the occurrence of these scams. Like Mr. Chen said, even if we have the inter-departmental task force that can pull the efforts together, will we be able to plug the loopholes? I think many a time it's down to the police judgment. If they are forceful enough in taking action, they can bring the fraudsters to book. It's a question of the police not putting in sufficient efforts. So to combat insurance scams, the police have to review their procedures, the way in which they handle the cases. They have to review the way in which they judge these cases and just throw people off by saying that these are commercial activities. Failing that, we're not able to combat the insurance frauds like Mr. Chan Kin-por would like to see. Second, in relation to this Central Employees Compensation Fund, this is an important subject. President, when the workers come complaining to us that if they suffer from work-related injuries, the employers would say that you shouldn't report it, otherwise your job will be at stake. Now, Mr. President, this is because if they file a claim for work-related injuries, then the premium next year will be not just doubled, but also tripled, quadrupled, and to a figure that is absolutely staggering. Now, there are some employers who told me that they are not able to take out insurance even if they are willing to. So they have no way of taking out insurance. Now, you may say that there are 26 insurers that are available, but these insurers are charging a premium that is astronomical, and this is so off-putting to the employers. So the employees are discouraged from filing a work-related injuries claim. On the surface, the injuries may be of a minor nature, but it is insidious. You may not be able to know the gravity of the injury. By the time the injury is surface, then it will be difficult for you to follow through the matter because they haven't filed a claim. So the employees would be at a disadvantaged position. The police are not putting in the efforts. They find it difficult to take out insurance. The employees don't have any protection to speak of. So Mr. Li Cheuk-yan is proposing a central employees compensation fund. I think at the present moment this is the only way we can help and protect the employees in the case of work injuries. Now, sometimes the employers discourage the employees from filing a claim for work injuries. The insurance sector will be taking the employers to court, and the day-to-day life would be affected, and they have no option but to settle the cases out of court. And if they are embroiled in a litigation, they cannot go to work, and the pay would take a beating, and they have nothing to fall back on except the CSSA. But that alone is not enough for them to live on. So they have to surrender at the end of the day, because many of these cases would be dragging on for a long, drawn-out period, up to 2 years sometimes. So if the Central Employees Compensation Fund, if it is set up, will offer expeditious treatment for the workers. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, just now I heard members representing the labor sector's views on insurance frauds. They seem to be focusing on victims participating in insurance frauds. But about my work in local communities, I very often come across cases where victims do not get sufficient protection. Insurers have their interests to safeguard, and very often victims find it hard to claim for injuries. When insurance frauds are allegedly so rampant, we need to make it clear what frauds we're talking about, be it work-related injuries or other compensation insurance claims. Very often, we rely on support from the professional opinion of a third party. For example, for work-related injury, you need certification by a third party. If we do not believe in, or if we don't trust our doctors in their professional judgments, what judgment should we rely on? Or must we only rely on panel doctors appointed by insurance companies? If so, there may be questions on whether doctors under the instruction of insurance companies may be safeguarding the insurer's interest only, rather than paying any attention to the victim's interests. So there is a conflict here. If there is collusion, if there is a conspiracy to defraud insurance companies, of course this is criminal. From the cases we have seen, in fact, very often victims do not get the insurance compensation they deserve. On the other hand, victims may regard their economic loss in a way very different from the insurers. Under the existing law, employees have the right to ask for a reassessment of the work-related injury compensation. Can we say that this is also a kind of insurance fraud? So I think the crux of the problem is the continuous increase in the insurance premium or the compensation amount, but it has to do with protection given by our laws to employees. We need improvements, and also as times advance, the court may have different views on protection that should be given to employees, and as a result, compensation amounts awarded to employees may be higher than before, and this is part of social development. And one problem facing the insurance sector is a moral risk. And we must not only regard the claimant or the victim having moral risk when they make a claim against the insurer. The insurer also has an incentive. For example, in order to improve their business prospects, they may coach the victims to do certain things, or they may choose to hide certain information in the policy from the policyholder, so that in the event of a claim, it will be very difficult for the insured to proceed with the claim because of the terms and conditions. Although there is a cooling off period requirement, it is still difficult for the policyholder to understand fully the exemption clauses in the policy. And insurance frauds or cases mistaken to be insurance frauds may stem from these problems, causing a conflict between insurers and policyholders. As Mr. Chan alleges that insurance frauds have become increasingly rampant, we need to find out the cause. Has it to do with individual cases or the insurance sector as a whole? I think the behavior of the whole sector is more important. For example, we're discussing the voluntary health insurance scheme, and as far as health insurance is concerned, we also hope that patients with preconditions and hence are turned away by insurance companies or have seen their premium loading increased be covered, because these patients when making a claim may find it difficult to succeed. So I think the government should review comprehensively how it can regulate insurance products. Mr. Alan Leong. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, is the Civic Party, of course, does not encourage anyone to take part in insurance frauds. However, the problem is insurance companies run businesses as a form of commercial behavior. And as Mr. Wu Chi-wai put it just now, if there are hurdles for those who wish to make a claim to go through, then it's not reasonable either. Mr. President, when we talk about insurance frauds, we're talking about fabricating facts or concealing facts. However, there are things you have to do. For example, you need to conspire with somebody to give false statements. You may need to forge documents. You may need to falsify evidence. And in the process, there are laws overseeing these acts. If you commit perjury, if you use false instrument, if you forge a document, or if you arrange for false witnesses, then is a legal consequence behind each and every act that is committed. And as far as our enforcement agencies are concerned, be it ICAC or the police force, they are empowered to enforce the law. And ultimately, the court will play its gatekeeping role. If the claimant fabricates facts or conceals facts, ultimately it will be exposed. So the civic party is of the view that we have reservations on Mr. Chan Kin-por's original motion. Mr. Chan Kin-por urges the government to set up an inter-departmental task force to pool the efforts of various departments to comprehensively combat insurance frauds and plug the loopholes in the existing system. We, however, believe that the problem has not escalated to such an extent to requiring such a responsive action. On the contrary, we're concerned that if an interdepartmental task force were to be set up involving various departments, then when policyholders make claims, there could be more hurdles for them to go through. Mr. President, I note in Mr. Chan's original motion, he places emphasis on labor insurance or frauds involving workmen's compensation insurance and motor vehicle insurance. Will this interdepartmental task force focus only on these two types of insurance? What about health insurance or life insurance? We find it hard to segregate them. And what departments will be involved in this interdepartmental task force? Will the healthcare sector be involved? To check if there are fake medical reports? And on labor insurance, will there be a need to see if there are fake labor or employment relationship? What departments should be involved? The Labor Department, the Department of Health? Will the police be involved? Will the ICAC be included? And on motor vehicle insurance, similarly, adopting the same logic, it is really difficult to identify the suitable departments to be involved in this interdepartmental task force. So does it mean that we should stay status quo? That is, for somebody who fabricates facts, conceals facts, suitable laws, case laws may already apply, and we may already have the suitable enforcement agency to implement the law.
Mr. Albert Ho. Today, Mr. Chan Kin-por moves this motion asking members to support the combat of insurance fraud. Of course, we have no reason to not support it. Mr. Chan Kin-por is the representative of the insurance sector. It's natural for him to move this motion. This criminal offense happens in other businesses, say for example, financial institutions and banks, and consumers as well. Say for example, pyramid selling, London gold, a local London gold, and a travel club membership. Being the law enforcement agency, the police should do its best to deal with these cases, to combat these corrupt cases. If it's a special type of case, a dedicated team will be set up to understand better the modus operandi of the syndicate. Experienced officers will be assigned to detect the case. Is there really a need to set up an interdepartmental task force to target frauds in the insurance sector? There should be sufficient manpower. There is actually no need to set up a special task force for insurance frauds. But there are some points that I don't really agree. First, maintenance and championing. That itself is an offense in Hong Kong because lawyers cannot have an agreement with the client to share the award of the lawsuit. But sometimes the clients are the ones who suffer in maintenance and championing case, not the insurers, because the perpetrators use the ignorance of the victims and provide unnecessary services or substandard service. The case may be settled when it should not be. And say, for example, they ask for 30 to 40% as the fee, and a settlement is reached within a very short time so that they can reap their fees. And as a result, the client suffers. I don't see why the insurer is the victim, because insurers engage their lawyers, very good lawyers, experienced ones, and they would be able to tell how much will be the amount involved and whether it should be fought. And if you say that, well, if there is a lawyer who engages in maintenance and championing, then of course they will take the case to the court and not settle. But you need a good case to fight it. If there is no merit, You can't force the insurer to pay out more than it should. Yes, maintenance and jeopardy is an offense and it should be stopped, but the victim is not the insurer but the client. Mr. Chan Kin-por also accuses the legal aid department, and it's not fair. The legal aid department looks at the merit of the case before they grant legal aid. And they also assess if the applicant passed the means test. Yes, once it's granted, the applicant will have the right to choose a lawyer, but that has always been the practice in our system. The right to choose your representatives is a fundamental freedom because you need mutual trust between the lawyer and the client. It's been practiced for a very long time. I don't understand why the trade worries that some lawyers may be dishonest and they may be a member of a fraud syndicate, and so legal aid applicants should not be allowed to choose their lawyers. If that is the case, then the right to choose will be taken away from legal aid applicants. When it comes to these fraud syndicates, as Mr. Allen Leung and Mr. Wu Chi-wai said that, yes, sometimes in these cases, the people involved will fake injuries or malinger, but insurers are no fool, and they would engage detectives to collect evidence, to say, for example, to see that these people can play Tai Chi, can run to get a taxi. And if lawyers or doctors participate in making bogus documents, they commit a crime. I think it's more to do with the operation of the insurance sector. Sometimes agents are dishonest. They might have misled the client. They are dishonest, or they sell investment-linked products. But today, for moving the motion, he's actually speaking for insurers because they are his constituents, and you see the flaw of the functional constituency. Mr. Tan Ka-piu. In relation to the original motion of Mr. Chan, he said that the number of insurance has been increasing. In an answer on the 7th of January in 2012, there are 34 cases, and in 2014, 49 insurance fraud cases. And they include agent and clients, or agents using the claims payment to invest without the client knowing. Well, there is no mention about the increasing number of cases in relation to labor insurance, so we don't see reason to support them simply because there is an increase in cases. Perhaps, well, they may think that the problem is not very serious. I am quite involved in the labor sector, and I know that in the insurance sector, they think that employees might have exaggerated their injuries, and as a result, they have tightened the grip, and as a result, the chance of a claim being granted is smaller, and they have exerted more pressure on employees. In cases when the injury is not superficial, say for example bruises or degeneration of the joint or bone, the employee will have to rest because continuing to work will make the situation worse. But insurers are impatient. If you have a sick leave note of 3 or 4 months, the insurer may say to the employer that there seems to be some problem with the sick leave note. It seems not to reflect the real situation. And as a result, they stop paying the sick leave compensation of 4/5. As a result, the employee is forced to work. Not that they are fit to. And there are more and more such complaints that insurers, without reasons, refuse to pay, or they nitpick on these information on the sick note, thinking that the employee is faking. These are the difficulties faced by employees. There is another new trend. There are intermediaries. They are companies engaged by labor insurance companies, and the name itself sounds like NGOs. One that sounds like the Hip Hong Association. They also engage a physiotherapist. And these organizations will reach out to injured employees to take statements from them. And of course, employees are not very sensitive to the words they use. Say, for example, well, because I'm getting on, and I'm just careless. And these organizations will latch on to these words. In recent years, because insurers suspect these cases are fake, they have in some ways exerted pressure on employees. And it is worth our attention. And insurers use different tactics to make it difficult for employees to make a claim. In 2013, end of December, an organization conducted a survey. Over 60% of respondents said that the Labor Department or some injury assessment organization, they've been sold some kind of recovery products. I know that there are lots of recovery agents giving out name cards saying that they don't charge a fee if it's not successful. I know that they hover around injury assessment boards, centers, and the labor department. Yes, there is the problem of maintenance and jeopardy, and it's getting worse. We have to turn this into an opportunity. We have to use this opportunity to better protect the rights of our labor and to stop them from getting more rampant. Well, the court will look at the facts of the case, and when it comes to the legal aid, they look at the merit, they also look at the means. And when it comes to choosing lawyers, is it for the applicants to choose? Well, if a lawyer is assigned randomly, I'm sure that whoever it is, it will act professionally. So there is no need to let the applicants choose. And when one is allowed to choose, then these recovery agents will give cards out and to try to get the insured to file a claim or take the case to the court or exaggerate the injury. And of course, if it's someone who can't get legal aid, then perhaps it's appealing to them if no fees is charged when the case is not successful. And if the applicant is allowed to choose, the legally aided is allowed to choose, then there is interest involved. So we need to look at this right to choose lawyers under the legal aid system. And lastly, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan's amendment, we support it.
Does any other member wish to speak? Mr. Leung Kwok-hung. President, thank you. I came down to take the floor to speak because I was rung up by some members of the public to say that this is a rather serious problem. I remember I did handle one case. I'm not sure how to classify it, a fraud or whatever. The case involved a woman who has mental problem. There is an insurance agent who sold her a policy, and her family hit financial difficulty, and it was found out that she had this policy taken out. And then they went through the insurance company, and they went to the insurance authority, and they couldn't do anything about it. I remember I lodged a protest with the lady, and I said that I would pursue the matter. And about an hour or so later, it was said that the insurance policy has been voided. I'm not trying to be a detective, and I'm not trying to swindle people. What I'm trying to say is that we have to beef up the function of the insurance authority. I know that there are many insurance products that would have an element of investment. If the insurance authority does not put in place a suitable arrangement, the insurance products may be linked with certain investment scheme. And this may involve an element of fraud or deception. Now, people taking out insurance will contribute to a pool, and if anything untoward happen, they would like to get some compensation out of the pool, and they're not trying to make any investment. If an insurance policy involves too many elements of investment, then the policyholders are not simply taking out insurance, they are taking a risk. And this will lose the fundamental essence of an insurance policy. On this very issue, I think the insurance authority ought to do something about it. Now, in the Lehman saga, the consumers were aware of what they were buying into. I think we have to learn from the Lehman Brothers debacle, and for those who sell the insurance policies to the clients, the agents have to undergo undertake certain procedures, and there has to be due diligence involved here, and they cannot ignore the financial situation of the clients to make them buy into any products that involve an element of investment. I got rung up just a moment ago, and many people urged me to put in a word there, and I know virtually nothing about insurance. I mean, I've never taken out an insurance myself, but in this whole debate, I think we have to move into the direction that we can't be bothered about the the small scammers, because this is not really. This is the purview of the police and the relevant enforcement body. But what we are supposed to do is to prevent the expansion of this sector in such a way that people are embroiled in these, are attracted into these kind of products, and the consumers' interests have to be safeguarded. In the insurance market in Hong Kong, the competition can be fierce. There is so much mainland capital finding its way into Hong Kong. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that the mainland capital is all bad, but the competition itself will give rise to a problem that people are competing for customers at all costs, and they will be trying to maximize the profits at all costs. If the government's policy is like in the year 2000, the banks are not doing enough business, and under the Securities and Futures Ordinance, the market was expanded to attract foreign capital, and we relaxed our regulation, and I don't think that was a wise move altogether. So I came down here to make the speech, and I hope that the officials sitting over there would listen to the public sentiments. And in the course of dealing with the Lehman saga, I must say that if the government is trying to expand the market and turn Hong Kong into a market which is one of the largest in the region, and try to attract the headquarters into Hong Kong, then I think that the insurance authority ought to conduct a review in the near future and make a report to us in the near future. Does any other member wish to speak? Mr. Chan Kin-por, you may now speak on Mr. Lee's amendment. President, thank you. Mr. Lee's motion is amendment is to urge the government to set up a Central Employees Compensation Fund and to reduce the fake claims. I understand Mr. Lee's sentiment, but I hope that Mr. Lee will understand that the rehab scheme that he's talking about is being undertaken by the insurance sector. Now, this would only help those who are minded to rehabilitate. Even with the Central Compensation Fund, those who are minded to a swindle will not be taking part.
We have seen a large amount of examples. What is baffling is that if we do not resolve this problem, private insurers will have to suffer hundreds of millions of dollars. Then setting up a central fund will be more bureaucratic than the private sector, and it will be more costly. And why would members ask for the administration to do it? Well, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan said that it will be easier to control premium. Is it fair? Is it proper use of public funds? You might not notice that there are tens of thousands of agents providing services for labor insurance or transportation labor. With a central fund, you still need intermediary service. The cost will still be there. Otherwise, you have to employ a lot of people to provide the same service. So don't think that this will solve the problem, because you still need people to provide the service. And every place is different. And in Hong Kong, we have a statutory compensation, we have a common law damages, so you can get two sums. And in other places, you don't really have it. In Singapore, you can only choose one, and in some overseas countries, it's even more simple. So there aren't many there is not much room for maneuver overseas. If it works overseas, it may not work in Hong Kong. With so many fraud cases, if you ask the administration to take it up, I don't think it will. Having said that, I hope the administration will study it. Compare the centralized system and a private system to see if there's a big difference. If a centralized system is good, then I welcome it. But I know it's impossible because cost will be higher. We work very hard to control fraud cases, and this is what we see. Well, if it's the administration who is doing it, I think they will not be bothered. And the premium will increase and will hurt Hong Kong. They won't work as hard to combat fraud cases. I do think that with the central compensation system, even when I'm not wearing my FC hat, it will not work. Setting up this central system will not combat fraud cases. Mr. Lee did not elaborate how it will help. So with this central fund, perpetrators will continue to make use of the loopholes to cheat more money. And the central fund will be their ATM, and in the end, taxpayers will foot the bill. So I will not support Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan's amendment. Thank you.
Secretary for Financial Services of the Treasury. President, thank you very much, Mr. Chan Kin-por and other members who spoke for their valuable comments. As I said at the very beginning, members' views will be important in our process to improve the mode of operation of the insurance sector. It would be good for reference. The fraudulent acts making insurers bear the costs, contributing to a higher premium. Any such activities are criminal. I emphasize that the government will not condone this at all. Regarding motor vehicle insurance fraud, the Insurance Authority, the Commercial Crimes Bureau of the Police, and the Federation of Insurers have been working in a concerted way. In December 2011, set up a task force to look at all these motor vehicle frauds, and through this, through the Federation, the police are maintaining liaison with the trade to keep on top of the trend and take preventative measures. According to the Federation's information, over the past 3 years, 30 cases of suspected fraud were referred to the CCB of the police. 4 have been prosecuted and convicted. In terms of workers' insurance, and in December 2013, an internal task force has been set up comprising DOJ, Development Bureau, the Labor Department, Hospital Authority, and so on. This task force has reviewed in detail the compensation mechanism and also the insurance issue. It has also reviewed all the subjects regarding insurance and rehabilitation, so that all the relevant bureaus and departments can consider any follow-up action. As regards insurance companies, the risk-based premium is decided in accordance with the market situation. Therefore, the Insurance Authority cannot interfere with the premium. And they also take measures to guard against the insurance fraud. Like the IA has asked the insurers to step up the internal regulatory system and encourage them to report suspicious cases. The IA also look at the way in which the commission is fixed, and the risk of deception is minimized. During the inspection, the IA will pay particular attention to certain signals like unreasonable premium and unreasonable commission, and they're normally involving the withdrawal of insurance policies. The IA would recommend that all these signals should be picked up as soon as possible in order to identify these cases. And through meetings and seminars and mutual notification, the IA maintains liaison and cooperation with overseas and mainland authorities. together with Macau and the mainland, they have signed an agreement to step up cooperation in the detection of cross-boundary fraud. As regards Chen-Pte, the colossal amount of payout may have to do with Chen-Pte, which is criminal under the law of Hong Kong. There can be a custodial sentence of 7 years. Through public education and law enforcement, we're tackling all these illegal activities. According to the legal aid ordinance, those who are assisted can select their lawyers in traffic accident cases. I understand the insurance sector is concerned about the possibility of Chen-Pte in these cases. In order to guard against this, the legal aid department, after consulting the council and the 2 branches of the legal profession in September 2013, introduced a declaration system to make sure that when a lawyer is nominated, it has to be stated at least the wish, entirely the wish of those given assistance, the recovering agent, and all the rest of the people will not reach any agreement in order to take part of the fees. The legal aid department will also remind the applicants that should they be approached by these people in relation to the selection of lawyers, they should make a report to the department. Other than all these measures that I mentioned, we also mount publicity and education programs through newspapers and electronic media. We are hammering home the message to the members of the public about the importance, the seriousness of these cases and heighten their awareness. And we, through the fight crime channels, in 2014 July, we have set up a platform through the internet media. We are disseminating the message to the members of the public. This anti-deception platform can be upgraded depending on the situation. And we cover the latest modus operandi regarding insurance fraud. The DOJ and the Legal Aid Department also remind the members of the public about the Chen-Pte and recovery agent. The members suggesting that the hospital authorities should tackle cases of overstated injury in order to get longer sick leave. The hospital authorities' job is to look after public health, and it is there to look after the health of the patients. The doctors will look at the seriousness of the injuries, the clinical condition, and act in accordance with the professional judgment and issue sick notes. The HA doctors will continue to be professional, and depending on the clinical condition, it's only when they are satisfied that the worker is not fit to work that the sick note will be issued. The medical council has the guidelines. The doctor's certificates regarding insurance and sick leave must contain undoubtable content. The doctors cannot include anything which has not been verified. According to the guidelines, when the doctors it's only when the doctor has treated the patient that the sick note can be issued. The days have to be properly recorded. If the sickness certificates are untruthful, they will be subject to disciplinary action. As regards Chen-Pte, it is a criminal offense under the law. This involves collusion to commit a crime, and the custodial sentence is 7 years. Now, this involves taxpayers' money. The government is very, very serious about it. Under the Legal Aid Department, there is a monitoring committee which monitors the performance of these outsourced lawyers. The ICAC has also set up a committee to look at these farmed-out lawyers to make sure that there will not be any irregularities. The Legal Aid Department will also issue advisories to these lawyers who are handling briefed out cases. In serious cases, the names of these lawyers will be struck off from the list. The Legal Aid Department has also a representation mechanism if anybody is submitting false information or suspected of submitting false information. A report can be made to the Legal Aid Department, and if there are irregularities, the assistance can be rescinded. And the Legal Aid Department is maintaining a liaison with the two branches of the legal profession to guard against trapity and to disseminate the proper message. In November 2014, a directorate lawyer has been appointed to the association to guard against the problem. As regards to TAFA, the government has a whole series of measures to prevent fraudulent claims in this regard. The claimants will have to meet the officials. They have to file all the relevant evidence to show that they are suffering from injury in the traffic accident, and that is causing disability. And if necessary, they can have tests undertaken by the Department of Health. And if there are suspicions about the report, all this information will be submitted to the DH and the hospital authority for another review. And the relevant authority will be referring the cases to the police. We do have the performers for reports to be made to the police. As regards the information or the data bank, the government is minded to set up this kind of data bank of recording all the fraudulent activities. This will involve some technical issues like privacy. The Federation of Insurers is looking into the possibility. The government is adopting an open mind in this regard. Members are making suggestions about rehabilitation. The HA doctors, when they are treating the patients and issuing sick notes, they are making recommendations about their returning to work. And doctors can refer the patients to occupational therapists for further review to enable them to get back to work as soon as possible. As regards the surveyors, internationally, there is no uniform approach. Different jurisdictions can make their own arrangement. In Singapore and Australia, they don't have any regulation regarding surveyors. In the UK, they are having a registration system regarding certain insurance surveyors. If they're committing any irregularities, it is criminal. The government will be working in conjunction with the trade to combat the fraudulent behavior. Some said that there are certain sectors that find it difficult to take out insurance. We do have the employees' compensation insurance residual scheme, logistics, transportation, cleansing, and recovery businesses. There are so many cases making application for the residual scheme. In 2012, we listed them as some high-risk industries. We have appointed actuaries to work out the level of premium so that there will be some guidelines for the employers. Finally, regarding Mr. Lee's amendment to set up a central employees' compensation fund, I'd like to make the following response. The employees' compensation system is based on the employees' compensation ordinance. It is the responsibility of the employers themselves. Under the law, the employers have to take out an insurance, the workers' compensation insurance for the workers to undertake their common law duties. Now, this practice has been working fine, has been serving us well. For the workers who die in the course of duty, they do enjoy proper compensation. The insurance sector has already introduced a scheme as a backup For those experiencing difficulties taking on insurance, particularly the high-risk sector, there is a fallback protection. As of November 2014, the residual scheme has received 600 or so cases of application, and for cases undertaken by the insurance themselves, the number stood at 620 cases. Now, this central compensation fund is a highly complicated subject. We have to look at the implications involved. Now, if the fund is to be set up, we'll have to set up a management mechanism. It would not be as flexible and effective as the current system. The recommendation will involve administrative management costs to maintain the day-to-day management. It may not achieve any savings. Under the existing compensation mechanism, the insurers, there are 60 or so insurers, 50 of them are undertaking workers' compensation insurance. The competition is very fierce. So if we can maintain the premium at a reasonable level, not only will it be good for the employers, it would also be good for the employees themselves. If we substitute that with the central compensation fund, the insurers will be dealt a severe blow, and there may be some workers who are thrown out of a job. And because of the scattered situation, some insurers may find themselves plunged in financial difficulties, and the premium will only creep up. And people would expect the government to become the underwriter to offer financial assistance, and the burden will be shifted from the employers to the taxpayers themselves. Since this may not bring about a cost-effective situation, and the current arrangement has been serving us well, and it is more in keeping with the current situation in Hong Kong and protect the interests of the workers. We don't believe that this is the right time to make any major changes to the existing system. The administration will be liaising with the relevant people to make sure that the existing system will be getting better in the days to come. I'm sure that the government will be working with the trade to combat all the fraudulent activities in the insurance sector and heighten people's awareness. We will listen to what the different quarters have to say and maintain communication to enhance our effectiveness. Thank you.
And I'll put the question to you, and that is that the amendment moved by Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan to Mr. Chan Kin-por's motion be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan claims a division bell will ring for 5 minutes. We don't have a quorum. Members, please return to your seats for the Secretary to count number of members.
唔該。傳召議員時間已經過咗。
It's been past 15 minutes. We don't have a quorum. Meeting adjourned.